Dads need other dads. Men need friends. This is an important part of being a dad and a husband and just being a guy. Just you've got to have friends. I want to start off with a story, a personal one, where I've shared my struggles with my father and my family when I was young. And my dad didn't have very many friends. He, he always seemed to be an angry person. He never really had any close friendships and guys that he would go spend time with and hang out with. He would always come home, he'd park himself in his recliner and watch his TV at the end of every day, every single night. It was either football or it was MASH or it was something else that, Andy Griffith, whatever, kind of dating myself here. But that's pretty much all he did. And he was always providing the tough guy front for all of us. We never, hardly ever saw him smile. He would never really engage with us in a positive way. And frankly, we just never saw him happy. He was always just kind of the solid dad. And because of this, he never had truly great relationships with his wife and with his children. Now, when I was a teenager and I was really wanting to get away from everything that was happening at home as often as I could, I sought out friendships. I needed friends. So and at times I had friends with other girls, which my father would pick on me for and say, I'm going to be a sissy because I hang out with girls. Well, I kind of sort of grew out of that eventually, but I started spending more time with other guys and hanging out with them, especially with my friends at school where we would, became friends and got on the golf team, did FBLA together. And I had good relationships with them. And what was great about that is I took these relationships with me into my 20s. And I learned more about being a guy through my friends and how to interact with other guys. This was important. And I grew as an individual. I didn't learn these things from my dad. So I did really well with this until I got married. I got married at 30, and then my friendships kind of waned. I fell away from those friends and lost touch with some of them. And for about nearly 10 years, I struggled to make friends. Then I moved to Texas, and I didn't have any friends, very few friends. I started to make friends, but I struggled. But what had happened is I started to isolate more. I started to pull away. And as time went on, I would occasionally make friends, but it got difficult. And I found myself continuing to isolate even more and becoming afraid of making other friends. In fact, eventually I grew to distrust friends, and those relationships were difficult because of me, not because of them, but because I struggled and was not really figuring out how to be a better friend with other guys as a married husband and father. I struggled to find the right friendships to help me fill those gaps I was missing. And this impacted my relationship with my wife and my kids. And at one point, my wife and I were not doing very well. And I found myself at a low point where I would hide in my office at home, or I would hide in my closet because I didn't want to be around them. I was struggling so much, and I was feeling useless. And this contributed to 2 points in my life where I felt suicidal. And this is not to say that I was suicidal because of my relationship with my wife. I was suicidal because I felt with the outside world I couldn't connect with people, and therefore I then couldn't connect with my own family. And because of that, I felt like a failure. I just didn't have the self-esteem. I didn't have the support, and it just kind of just snowballed from there. Now, you have met my best friend a couple of episodes back. You met Jeremy. And thanks to Jeremy, he pulled me out of that isolation and helped me to develop into the man I am today. He helped that friendship I developed with him and with other friends that we all know has made me the better man I am. Today I have good friendships. I have other dads, other husbands that I can talk to and relate to, where those experiences we share and the connections we build, the bonds we have together, have made me a better man. And I've taken that home with me, and I've built great relationships with my wife and my kids. This matters. This actually does matter, Dad. Friendships among dads are critical for emotional support, for shared understanding, and for personal growth. And it reduces stress and provides a support network and leads to better family dynamics. I want to dive deeper into this subject today. And first, what I want to do is I want to identify 3 negatives in not having male friendships or good male friendships. And I'm basing these 3 topics on Simon Sinek's thought pattern. He has a very great concept on friendship. To him, friendship is so integral in human behavior. Many men go through life without the close friendships that they need, leading to negative consequences on their mental, their emotional, and their social well-being. And Simon Sinek gives some insights into these areas. And I'm going to give you some of that thought here. The first first negative that you see when you don't have another male friend to be with, to have a close relationship with, increased isolation and loneliness. And this, you go back to my story I just told you, and that's exactly what was happening to me. I had isolated myself. And while I had my wife and children around me, and I still felt lonely. And that doesn't mean I didn't love my family. I felt like I just could not connect with people. If I can't connect with the outside world, outside of my home, outside of my family, I just could not see how I could function as a human being. Because while my family is great and I love my family, I need to be able to function in the real world outside of that. Without friends, men often experience isolation, which can lead to feelings of loneliness and a lack of emotional connection. That emotional connection was something I needed with other guys, and I've always needed that. Loneliness is linked to various mental health challenges such as depression and anxiety. Did I mention that I was suicidal? There you go. Men who don't have trusted friends tend to internalize their struggles. I did this. I was internalizing. I was imploding as I was approaching my thoughts of suicide. This can lead to emotional breakdowns or feelings of hopelessness. Yeah, that was me. A second negative that you get from not having other male friends is the lack of vulnerability and emotional outlet. And we're going to dive deeper into why this is important in a little bit here. But men without close friendships may find it harder to be vulnerable or to share their feelings. And without a space to express their emotions, men can carry the burden of stress and unresolved issues on their own, which affects their relationships with their spouse and kids. You need another outlet. You can't dump it all on your wife. You cannot dump it all on your kids. They don't deserve that. Yes, you need to be vulnerable with your wife and vulnerable with your kids. I talk about vulnerability a few episodes back. Go listen to that if you haven't done so yet. But you must have vulnerability outside of your relationships with your wife and your kids. The third negative is reduced personal and leadership growth. Why leadership here? Well, okay, so let's talk about the personal growth part. So friendships push men to grow by offering honest feedback and holding each other accountable. Without these relationships, men miss out on opportunities for personal development and leadership improvement. I was reading an article today. It's coming out or it's been released. I want to say in the Harvard Business Journal. I could be wrong. It's by Tom Brady. He talks about honest feedback, where when he was quarterback and he was the leader of the team, what he would do is he would literally say to other players when he was practicing with them, he would say, look, would you like me to lie to you and help you feel good? Pet, you're okay. It's all right. Or would you like me to be honest and give you some honest criticism on how you can improve or what I saw? And that we need loving criticism from our close friends who are willing to say things to us to say, hey, you need to do better here. And you realize that they're coming from a point of compassion and caring. When I go into leadership here, Dad, you're a leader. You're a leader of your family. You're a leader of your children. You lead. So your personal and leadership growth are essential. The negative of you not having another male close friend is that you lack the ability to have growth in these areas. I'm going to share a quote now from Simon Sinek about friendship. Friends are those rare people who ask how we are and then wait to hear the answer. This quote really embodies the emotional void and the loneliness that can result from not having meaningful friendships. One of the things you need to be able to do when you have a true friend is you need to be able to provide a genuine emotional outlet where you're giving someone space. I like to be able to ask someone, how are you? And then shut up and let them talk, because I want to know sincerely what they are, what's going on in their life. And they appreciate that because that means I care. It's coming from the heart. I do want to know. Instead of me going, hey, how are you? Oh, okay, good. I'm glad to hear it. Let me tell you about me. Mm-mm. That doesn't work that way. Now, eventually they'll ask you about how you're doing, and then it's a reciprocal. It works well. So, okay, Dad, if you don't have a close friendship, or you have a friendship, but you want it to be a closer friendship, here are some ways to develop friendships as a dad. So it requires effort and consistency and a willingness to be open and supportive. So here's the 5 strategies that I've come up with to help you to build a friendship or build a better one. So first, this is the obvious one, seek out shared interests. The interesting thing about me and my friend Jeremy is we come from 2 different upbringings, backgrounds, and interests. He's an airline pilot, and he's into sports and football. I'm a little into sports. I do like football. I was more into baseball. I've more recently shifted to football recently than I did, used to with baseball. But for me, I'm an IT guy. I am a sci-fi nut. I like to go to sci-fi conventions. And so we don't have a lot in common, but we have football. We like to go hiking. We like to go camping. And we had fun together. I'll get into that in a minute, because we made each other laugh. And that was important. But the most important thing is you need to find mutual activities. We actually got to know each other better by going on a hike together. And that's how that worked. It's those shared activities or mutual interests that are going to bring you together. So whether it's through sports, hobbies, or even involvement in your children's activities. So maybe it's somebody that your kids, have, or on a football, a soccer, or baseball team together, and you get to know other dads who are there. Maybe that's how you get to meet them and go there and discuss the common interests, and maybe some opportunities come up where you guys can say, hey, maybe we should do this together. And maybe we do this with our kids as well. So that's how you start building relationships. So identify a hobby or activity that you and another dad can enjoy, such as, again, you could join a sports league together. Maybe you both like to play softball together. I've known friends that are really into softball, sometimes really into softball, or pickleball, or plan a family outing, like I said, or just do a workout together, become workout buddies. I used to do that. I used to have workout buddies. Start small and then just grow on that. C.S. Lewis has a wonderful quote that I like about this. Friendship is born at the moment when one person says to the other, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one." So the second way to build a relationship with another dad, or to make a better relationship with another dad, be open and vulnerable. This is so important. And some guys will look at vulnerability. And again, I've talked about vulnerability. Go back and watch my episode on it. They'll look at vulnerability with another guy and go, that's feminine. No, it's human nature. You need to be vulnerable in order to get ideas, advice, to help process and analyze things. Strong friendships are built on more than just shared activities. They require openness and vulnerability, especially the deeper friendships. Many men who open up about their personal struggles and frustrations or challenges can feel uncomfortable, but it's essential for developing trust and deeper connections. Vulnerability shows you trust that person enough to let your guard down. This is something I am more vulnerable to other guys than most guys are to me. I'm just an open book. I am just that way. And some guys, it bothers them a little bit that I'm a little too open. Sometimes I dial it back and adjust. But for those I trust, they get the open book. They get all of me. I don't hold things back because I trust. I've built the connection. That's a deeper relationship. Others don't get as much as me because I don't have that kind of connection with them. You adjust for whatever the relationship is, and sometimes it grows and sometimes it doesn't. So in this case, again, start with something small. Talk about a challenge at work you're facing, or a tough parenting moment, or even a personal goal that you're working towards and struggling to get there. Sharing honestly, you can encourage your friend to then open up and then have them do that in return, and then foster a deeper emotional connection. That's the idea. So the third way, show up consistently. Consistency is undefeated. Remember, consistency is undefeated. It works here too, folks. It is crucial for any relationship. You're consistently showing up for your wife. You're consistently showing up for your kids. You should consistently show up for your friends. Don't let your friends down. Being present regularly, whether it's through scheduled meetups or just check-ins or even simple text messages, it shows you value the friendship. When you put the time in, when you say, look, you're important. I'm going to make some time for you. Let's have lunch together. Let's get some dinner together. Or I've got friends where I've had breakfast with them. If you do not stay consistent and put in the time and the effort, that friendship is going to get neglected, and it's going to make those bonds weak. And those friendships are going to die. I know this from experience. You have to set aside time each week or month or whatever is reasonable for the relationship to connect with your friends. Even if it's just a quick phone call or a quick meeting for, lunch or whatever. Just that consistency over time builds a strong foundation for your friendship with that guy. You need to be able to do that. Fourth, this is the one I wanted to come around and talk about briefly. Use humor as a connection tool. There is one friendship that I admire greatly, so much. It's the one between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. They are the best of friends. And for them, humor They are vulnerable with the rest of us, and they share humor and they pick on each other. And it is so much fun to see. But you can just tell it's because they love each other as friends. They are such great and close friends, and they're cheering for each other and they're supporting each other. But at the same time, they have fun poking fun at each other. I'll never forget the commercial that Hugh Jackman did promoting Ryan Reynolds' gin. And he sits there and he just makes some nice comment about the gin, saying it is a great gin, blah, blah, blah. And he just takes it and he pours it out. And that's the commercial. I think that it just embodies their friendship. And if you remember those commercials, they went back and forth with that, where they were picking on each other constantly. And they do this all the time. And it's so much fun to watch. I do this with my friends, especially with my friend Jeremy. We call each other dork all the time. We're always making fun of each other. Humor is an excellent way to break the ice and build camaraderie with someone. Sharing laughter, it reduces stress and keeps the friendship enjoyable, especially in the face of life's challenges. Sometimes when you go to your friends and you have something difficult to talk about, and then finally you're done talking about it, you got to laugh it off after that. You got to joke. You got to have a lighthearted moment. Those bring people closer together and they create positive memories. I have so many great memories of jokes that I do. My friend Jeremy and I, we always give each other a practical joke for each other's birthdays, and they've gotten almost a little too far in a few cases, but it's a lot of fun, and we remember that, and it's a tradition for us to do something that just embarrasses the other. Can't promise I won't do anything better than what I did this year, buddy. So don't be afraid to joke about the shared challenges of fatherhood or life in general. Life is funny. There are so many aspects of life where you got to look at it and you just got to laugh. If you can't laugh at your life, if you can't laugh at life around you, man, it's a miserable existence. Humor can be the bridge that turns an acquaintance into a close friend. And then 5, be loyal and supportive. I talked about this for a brief moment for myself. Loyalty for me comes in degrees, but the one thing about my friendships is I am loyal, and I'm more loyal now than I used to be. I will admit my values needed to be strengthened quite a bit over the last 10 or 15 years. They're better now than they've ever been, and that loyalty grew with it because I understand friendship better than I ever have. Loyalty is the cornerstone of lasting friendships. Being there for your friends during both good and bad times, it shows that you can be counted on, and it strengthens your trust between each other. Offering support, whether it's a listening ear or helping hand or words of encouragement, that reinforces the bond and it deepens the friendship. Loyalty to me this is one good thing I got out of my dad: loyalty. He taught about loyalty to me. You are loyal. You are a man of your word. And that's exactly how I look at it, is when you're a man of your word to your friends and they know it, that bond is strong and that trust is deep. Sometimes I'm loyal to a fault. There are certain people in my life that get the utmost loyalty from me no matter what. I am there for them forever because they've earned it. They've earned my love and my respect, and they get it. They know who they are. They know my loyalty is there for them, and I will be there anytime they call, I come running because I value their friendship and I know they value mine. When you make an effort to reach out during tough times and celebrate your friends' successes, showing up and offering help and giving support during those critical moments will solidify your place as a true friend. And they'll do the same for you. It's so important to be there, not just in the bad times, but in the good times, the successes. I love being there to share the wins of my friends. I will admit sometimes seeing my friends have constant wins and me not can be tough. But you know what? I love them and I'm happy for them and I'm there anyway. Because I know there'll be a time when it's my turn and I know that they'll be happy for me. It works both ways. And I love them because of the fact that that loyalty is a form of love. That's how I view it. Here's another quote from Simon Sinek. The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them. This emphasizes the idea that friendships grow through vulnerability and mutual trust. When you are trusting other guys, and showing up consistently, you as a dad, you build strong, reliable relationships. And now we're going to get into, if you're a wife or a kid, we're going to get into how friendships with other dads are going to improve the relationships with you guys. So how does this benefit wives and kids? Well, the very first thing you're going to get is improved mental and emotional health. This is, in my opinion, one of the biggest. When dads have other dads to be friends with and hang out with and talk to, it provides emotional outlets. And that will reduce the stress that dads carry home with them. And so by feeling supported by their friends, they are more emotionally balanced and present at home. So having a good friend to be able to turn to and talk to about certain things helps in various ways. So for spouses, by going to their friends with some of their issues, the husband does not have to dump all of it on their wife. I got to tell you, I talk to my wife about a lot of things, and I when I have certain problems, I will go to my wife with certain ones, but there are just others as a dad and a husband where if I'm frustrated, I don't want to talk to my wife about it because number one, she probably doesn't want to hear it. And number two, I need another guy's perspective, another husband's perspective. And so I will bounce it off another husband. I will run it by them. But at the same time, I may have some other things that are going on that my wife could help me with, but I need another perspective. And I get that from them. And then I come home and I've gotten that out of my system and I don't have to put it all on my wife. It doesn't put that pressure on her as much. And for my wife, that's a big deal. She doesn't need me coming to her with all of my problems. I need to find other ways to get answers to my issues. And for kids, you get a father who's more patient and more calm and emotionally stable. And it creates a positive environment. My kids, it has definitely benefited them. When I did not have other male friends, boy, I had a temper. Boy, I was just angry and I was just bitter. And I was not patient. I was not calm. And I definitely wasn't emotionally stable. So there's one benefit. The next benefit is gaining a perspective and advice from other dads. Other dads can provide valuable advice or even just fresh perspectives on parenting and marriage, which will help fathers navigate challenges at home with new solutions. I'm going to give you a perfect story on this. So I've gone to my friends with parenting ideas for many years, and I've gotten some good, constructive ideas. And some of them are a little rough, but they work. And so I'm going to give you an example of one that comes to mind. My 6-year-old son doesn't like going to school, first grade. He would much rather stay home and play his Amazon Fire tablet that he's addicted to. And we're working on that. Well, he's been in school for a month now, and he's now missed 3 days. And on that third day, I came back in the house from my morning walk, and I saw he wasn't dressed for school. He didn't want to go to school. And I told him, okay, I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to shower. And when I'm cleaned up and ready to start my day, when I come downstairs, if you are not dressed and ready to go to school or on your way to school, I'm going to take your tablet and I'm going to throw it in the trash. So I showered and I cleaned up and I came out and I'm holding the tablet. I have it. And I found him and I asked him, so are you going to school? And he stared at me and said nothing. And I said, okay, that sounds like a no. So I took the garbage bag and I threw it in the garbage bag, and he got upset with me. And I said, are you going to school? And he said, nothing. So I walked and marched out to the garbage can. And he came running out the door not far behind me, and he said, no. And I said, are you going to school then? And he said nothing. So I dropped it into the trash can. And he immediately came running and went dumpster diving for it. And I said, oh, okay. So I took it out of the trash can, and I said, I'm going to go take it somewhere else to get rid of it. So I got in my truck and I drove off and drove around for a while. And I came back. I still had it, but I let him know that it was not coming back. It's gone. I have not given it back to him yet, by the way. So for about 45 minutes, he lost it, and his mother came in and talked to him, and his mother's completely supportive of this. And she was like, yeah, good boys who go to school, they get their tablets. That's how that works. Eventually, he stopped crying. He got calmed down. He got dressed, and he went to school. And he has not missed a day since. I got this parenting advice, not this exact parenting advice, but how to do something like this by talking to other guys. By the way, you have to stay consistent. He hasn't gotten the tablet back, and he never will. I'm going to do something else eventually if he's earned it, but he's never getting that tablet back. So don't pull one of these where you're going to lie to them. You need to actually follow through and stay consistent. He's not getting it back. So when you get other ideas from other dads, what does this do for spouses? Well, it brings new ideas into the marriage on how to resolve conflicts between spouses, as well as, parenting skills. If I need advice from my friend on how to be a better husband, I'm going to go see him. I go see how my friends are with their wives. I see how they interact with their wives, and that gives me ideas on how to be with my wife. And same with their children. I get ideas. I learn. It's part of growth. For kids, you learn how to improve your parenting skills, and it just leads to stronger bonds with your children. Now, yeah, my 6-year-old didn't want to talk to me for 2 days. Understandable. But we're building a better relationship now, and he talks to me more, and it will be fine. I'm not worried about that relationship. He's not traumatized. He's adapting. He's doing just fine. So another benefit for the spouse and for the kids, you set a positive example for the children. This is something I didn't get from my dad, and I'm disappointed that I didn't get this. Dads who maintain strong, healthy relationships with friends, with other guys, model the value of loyalty and emotional support for their children, teaching them how to form positive relationships in their own lives. This was the one thing that I got and I saw from, not just from my dad, from my mother. My mother would make friends, and then my mother would just turn on them. The loyalty wasn't there. And my dad was pretty loyal, but he just didn't maintain those friendships. And those are the examples I had. And I struggled with those for years, because that's the example I had. That's how I saw how I treat friendships. Friendships in some cases were temporary. In other cases, they were not. I have lifelong friendships throughout my life. And I've learned how to do better in my friendships because of the relationships I have with my other dad and husband friends. So kids who see their fathers in good, healthy relationships with other men, they develop their own healthy relationships. When you as a dad go and get a good relationship with someone who has the same values as you, that shows that that matters to you, and your kids see that. And then they want to go find good quality friends for themselves. For spouses, a dad with strong friendships is more emotionally available and supportive of his spouse, improving the relationship. For me, I encourage my wife to go make new friends. In her case, she goes and spends a lot of time with her sisters, her family. I support that. So by me going to do that with my friends, I turn around and I give her the opportunity to do the same, because having those relationships outside of the family helps to build the bonds for us. We see how other families interact. We learn how to be better as husbands, as wives, as kids. We learn all of these things by interacting outside the house, not isolating. So it's important. So you want to set those examples, which then leads to that next thing I was just about to talk about, which is reducing isolation and strengthening resilience. So friendships with other dads help reduce the feeling of isolation that can sometimes accompany fatherhood, allowing dads to feel more connected and resilient. One of the problems that I have seen is there are some wives who do not encourage their husbands to go and make friends. In fact, sometimes they're very controlling to a degree of their husbands. They want them to be there for them. They're denying themselves the opportunity for their husbands to better their relationship with them. It is so important that the guy get out of the house and go experience being a guy with another group of guys that are like him, in order to come home and have had a chance to miss his wife and kids and come home and say, I missed you. I am so happy to see you. I'm glad to be here. That strengthens some resilience for them too, because they become less dependent on the spousal and kid relationship, where they get their needs met in other ways. It's good to have other human interactions. Okay. For spouses, a resilient dad, a resilient husband brings less emotional strain into the marriage and reduces conflict and increases harmony. Wives, this is a good thing that your husband gets out of the house. This is a good thing for you, because it means that they're going to come home stronger and better. The impact on the kids is, a father who is more emotionally strong and capable of handling parenting challenges. When dad gets a break, dad needs a break too. I know dads will go out there. I do this for my wife. Give my wife a break. Give her a break from the kids. Dads need to do the same thing, so that when they get a break and they can release and they get a chance to just forget for a little while and then come home and they can deal with those parenting challenges again with a little stronger resilience. Okay. The quote that I want to share here from Simon Sinek: life is beautiful not because of the things we see or do. Life is beautiful because of the people we meet. So just really quick, I want to share the qualities and the benefits that are shared by strong friendships among dads. So the very first one, mutual respect and trust. And this comes from having vulnerability again, remember? So strong friendships are built on mutual respect and trust, where men need relationships where they can share both successes and challenges and know their friends will provide support without judgment. That's the key. That mutual respect fosters a safe space for vulnerability. You have to create those safe spaces. You must do that to foster the friendship. The second, loyalty through thick and thin. I've talked about loyalty. You're there through the good and the bad times. That loyalty creates a sense of stability and reliability in the relationship. When you know that friend is loyal and they're going to be there no matter what, there's stability. And you need that stability in your life as a dad, and not be able to question whether that friendship's going to be there or not when you leave. Okay. Shared interests and activities. This is something that is a benefit that we all need. Having different interests that we all share. And sometimes when you meet friends, you're going to have more, you're going to find common interests you didn't know you had, or you might go out there and want to learn something new together and try that. You find new opportunities. Humor is a bonding tool. We talked about that. Humor is so important in relationships, any relationship, but as a friend, it's really cool. And then emotional and personal growth support. You got to have those opportunities as a dad to be able to grow. That's how true friendships build. When you have an emotional connection with your buddy, I don't buy into the argument where guys can't have emotional relationships. You can. Simon Sinek talks about this. where you can have an emotional relationship with another guy. It's fine. I will tell my friends I love them. And that's okay, because I do. I really do care about them. I have a big heart and I really want to be there for them. So I will tell them I love them, and I have no problem sharing that with them. Having the opportunity to be emotional and to have emotional support from them is so important. Everyone, I encourage you this week, Dad, go out there. If you don't have a really close friendship, think of someone that you might be interested in starting that with. Or if you have a good, strong friendship and you want it to be better, think about some of the things I've talked about and how you can go out there and improve on it. Have an activity together. Just have a deeper conversation, or just simply check in. Just simply say hi, see how they're doing. Um, I can't tell you how much having good, solid male friends, male role models to connect with in my life has what that's done for me. My life has changed and transformed because of those relationships. And my wife and children have benefited so much from me having those relationships. And I appreciate having those opportunities to be able to grow with those people. Thank you so much for listening and getting to this point. I love you guys as well. Please subscribe and then share your stories of dad friendships with me. Tell me about your friend. What are some things you've learned with your friendship that you've had? Go out on social media. You'll find me on Instagram. You'll find me out on Facebook. Go out there and share with me about your friendships, and let's see who has the best friendship out there. Who's got that Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman friendship? I want to see if somebody's got something like that. Take care. And we'll talk to you next week.